Greetings and salutations, I am Castellan of Ingmar, also known as Tauren of Linden, over on the Total War Center, and welcome to the second episode of the modding tutorials on unit modeling. So in this episode, we are going to look at all the stuff that is going to deal with unit files. So we're gonna go back into the DBs and we're gonna take a look at what you're gonna see in the battle models DB. And the reason why I didn't cover it mostly in the last tutorial episode is it's a lot easier to mess this one up because there's a lot more going on. So I wanted this to be a little easier. Ignore that. But yeah, that's kind of the main reason. It's a lot easier to mess this up and there's a lot more going on. So things you're going to need, of course, is Notepad++, but in this video we will also be delving ourselves into Milkshape, some kind of texture converter, and a file to edit textures, some program to edit textures. You're going to need a model converter. I will put a link to this one. It's from GrunmyOldMan. It's a model converter that converts meshes into 3ds Milkshape files. So you can go to that link. I will probably have a link to all the programs I use here in the video, so you guys will have access to that. But you don't have to do everything I do specifically. Everything else, you don't have to do it the same way I do. But when it comes to the DBs, you're going to have to do it in a specific way. So here, as we said in the last video, weren't going to touch unit armor upgrade levels, models, because that deals with textures and models, which is this episode. So you're going to need to open the battle models DB. How you get there is, let me open this. Now you need to go to your file, whatever, and go to your divide and conquer. You're going to want to go to unit models. How you get there is PC, local disk, program files 86, Steam, Steam apps, common, medieval 2, mods. Whatever your divide and conquer or a mod in general is called, go to data and look for unit models, and then you will go at the bottom usually and it says battle models model DB. You're going to want to open this. Oh hi, how did you get in here? Okay, that's not normal. We'll ignore that for now. So you're going to want to click that. I'm not going to because I already have it open, but you'll be brought up to what it looks like up here. Now keep in mind this model is, this number up here is very important. You're going to have to update that if you add a completely new model. If you're editing a entry like one of these, you do not have to change it. But if you're adding a completely new one, like what we're going to be doing here, you're going to, sorry about that, I always forget. So you're gonna see this top number is going to have to update if you add a completely new entry. You're gonna have to do it manually. So back to this. So here you're gonna have to make sure you put in the right amount of character number, and that's gonna be seen at the bottom. So I'm gonna highlight this. You're gonna look for here. This is what tells you how many characters you have in a thing. It does not count spaces, so you should be fine. Of course, you will have to count the number of letters in here, in the name of that specific directory or entry. Of course, it is 18 word letters, and you must put 18 next to it. This tells you how many individual entries there are. So here, in terms of models, there's only one specific model entry for this entire group. This is the beginning of an entry, this is the end, but these are the individual things going on in it. So there's only one model going into this specific section of the entry. You will have to know what the number of characters it is, because if you do not put it in, it will crash your game, of course, but it will not crash instantly. It will usually crash the moment you get into a battle, because it is trying to access a texture and model, and if it doesn't have the right number, it is not going to match up, and it's not going to find it, so it's going to crash instead, because it's trying to find something that doesn't exist. Here it is 1 because there is only one texture directory. This goes to Turks, which is of course a faction. This is the Northern Dunedain. But if we want Scotland, like in the last video, all you have to do is copy paste Scotland, figure out how many letters there are. There are 8, so you will change it to 8. And you will do that across all of your entries or little directories. This number will have to change if you put more than one of these entire pieces. And you will, of course, do that manually. These you will have to put a specific, like here, you will have to put a specific number. This is 27 letters long, so you will put 27. But because there is no texture or specific folder it's in, we will not touch that yet until we get into the models. And here we have a similar idea, except it is with attachments. This is usually a model's weapons or accessories, essentially. This is a similar idea to the top one, except the 0 will always be a constant. You will leave it alone, you will not touch it, except for this entire section. You will copy this and this. Why there are 2 of these is because there is a normal file, which you will see in a bit, which gives you depth and some idea of shading, usually from the game. Here I would recommend not to really touch. This just gives it a sort of animation and idle positioning sort of deal. You're going to have to be careful with this section because it's very easy to mess up. So let's find halberd unit. Those are defenders, medium spearmen, halberds. Control F. Find. So if you put, ignore that, that is for a later thing. If you put this entire thing into where this would be, and still have all the same stuff for halberd unit in here, it will crash the game once the unit starts to move and engage the unit, because the animations and behavior essentially aren't lining up. So it's going to crash instead. So you're going to have to make sure things are organized properly and assigned properly. So that is essentially what you're going to want to put in. And something to add, in the last video I made a mistake and just left legionary, I believe. This is what it should say, legionary name. And that will, I will not really go into the description regions file because that is very touchy and it's a lot of copy pasting and I don't want to touch it right now. So we're going to close that. And we are going to open another thing. The moment you get anything done in here, usually I recommend doing this this entire model DB thing after you have your models and textures set up. Sprites I don't really care for. Just copy paste some other unit sprite roughly that looks similar. But yeah, I will show you an example here. So let's look for a Scotland unit. Find Scotland. Let's find something that is not a catapult. Find. Of course. Thank you, game, for being so helpful. So here we would just copy this entry. So as an example, copy. Paste. That's what a full entry would look like. Similar thing with this, except no sprite, of course. So that's what it should essentially look like when you are done. After that, you just want to do this after the major stuff, which is the models. So let us go into Milkshape, or actually, let's go into File Explorer. So I'm gonna delete this real quick. Thank you. We're going to go to units, and these are all the files containing units. I'm gonna choose some random one. We're gonna go with Dale, and that's actually Dolmarth. Dale. There we go. And we are going to choose a random unit. Now, I'm gonna quickly open my converter. You guys probably won't see it very well. I have a model converter. Actually, because I have access to everything here right now. Oh god. Same type. Where are you? There we go. So this is the GrunmyOldMan converter. You will just click this and it will bring something else up, which I highly doubt you will see, but it is a green thing that will say file, and it will ask file converter merge MS3D or quit. We're going to go to a convert mesh to 3D MS3D. We're gonna go to, I'm just telling you what's going on because I'm too lazy to edit it on the fly. And we're gonna choose Dale Swordsman upgrade, I guess. Process, save. There we go. We're gonna grab another just to get the idea. Need to find a good file to show you guys some of the crazier stuff, I guess. Dale's been upgrade parting herd. Not as good. Might have to edit this out. I don't know. I'm kind of lazy. No. Cancel that. Oh, man. I can't remember any of the stuff for Dale. Yeah, I think I'll just stick with that. So, I'm then going to go into the other one. So we're going to open properties, no, do not do that. We're gonna touch Dale again. That sounds wrong. So we're gonna go into Dale again, and we are going to open Dale Swordsman upgrade, which we just converted from mesh to thingamabobber. There we go. I have to update this garbage, don't I? Similar types. If I can get you to work. There we go. So this is the model in Milkshape. Of course, I will have a link to the program below. If you're wondering why don't I use Blender, there was a specific problem with Blender that I can't stand, and it's occasional thing, but it bothers me to no end, so I avoid using it, and that is when models usually don't open, especially the files. There is usually a corruption error thing going on, and that bothers me more, so I use Milkshape, which is a little more consistent usually. So I usually use Milkshape. So because this doesn't have a texture, we can't really see textures, but this is all the shenanigans that you will see in a model. We have legs, Burmica, which I can't remember what it means again. Yeah, it's the coif. Helmet, of course. Multiple variants. Varieties, the spice of life, of course. Faces, body, sword. Only one sword, really. Well, actually 2 swords. And shields. So that is all the thing. We're going to unselect everything, which is Control Shift A. For anyone who wants to know. In here you have your texture stuff. Figure goes for everything that is the actual body, usually, unless there's some weird shenanigans going on. Attachments, of course, the weapons and some accessories like the straps and stuff. And joints, basically Satan himself. This stuff is your weights and what things are connected to bones and stuff. I'm not gonna tell you guys how to make your own units in terms of from scratch for models, because I hate doing it and it's too much work, and this video would be way too long. So we're gonna be bare bones. So first thing, we want to see what we're doing, so we're going to go to some special program. Oh god, let me quickly do some oh god, what's going on in here? Similar files. Okay, I should probably have this on. Okay, there we go. So here we have the converter. So we're going to want to open a file. Ignore that. Data models. So we're going to want to go to, again, where our unit model is. We're going to Dale. This. There are no textures. You are lying. You abhorred creature. Any file. There we go. And we're going to look at some texture. I don't remember any of the textures. Let's just open one, see where this goes. Oh, hi. I'll be right back, actually. Because I don't want to touch it. It's more work than it's worth. And yes, I say a lot because shut up. Let's Jesus Christ, I need to stop saying So let's bring this one up. We're going to select as. I highly doubt you guys can actually see that. Probably not. Okay. Properties. God, I hate you. File. You. There we go. Okay. Now you do the work, okay. Okay, back to this. For some reason it's not showing all the important stuff, but there is an option called File. You will go to Save As, and you will click 24-bit BMP, because if you don't, it will not work with thingamabobbers. This. Now this isn't exactly the same thingamabobber. I forgot all my hotkeys for the video stuff. Ignore this. This is a special project. Go to Dale, please. Go here, and we will select you, because I don't care. Now, if you're wondering why everything is so dark and why nothing is lined up, let me explain. First thing, it's dark because there has been no editing which is a good way to tell you. Now it's bright, now you know there's been an edit. And why things don't line up is because this isn't the proper texture, and I'm too lazy to find it. So yeah. So if we want to line things up, we're going to, that is the wrong button, select, go to Window, Texture. God. What the hell are you? Let's go to Body. I highly doubt you guys can actually see this. Probably not. But I don't care. I don't know. This thing doesn't like doing anything because it's OBS. Let's change that to 1. Okay. There's some level of shenanigery that you guys can't see because my converter is evil. And I'm going to have to do stuff on the fly because I'm too lazy to edit. So we will do more of the shenanigans. Okay. What are you? Sure, I don't care. Cancel actually. It's not useful. Properties. Yeah, no, cancel. We're gonna delete that one. So I highly doubt you guys are actually gonna see this, but it is called the texture coordinate editor, and it is something that for some, oh, there we go. Yay. It does the work. And you guys can't see it because it's not doing it properly. There we go. Now I know it works. Yay. So I'm going to, and it is pure cancer. It doesn't do what I want it to do. That's okay. Not touch that like that. That sounds slightly wrong. Actually, no, it's not going to work because it doesn't like it. You guys are going to have to take my word for it. There is a thing called texture editor, coordinate editor, and it's going to show the texture file and all of its it's going to show the vertices and the faces of the model, and you will have to edit a model accordingly. But I guess some of the major questions people have usually consists of how you would be able to edit a unit's weapons. That's usually with the converter. So we will save this. We will go back to do not do that. File, Explorer. I'm going to open this one because it's easier. So then we're going to open thing again, and we're going to get another model. I'm just going to click some random unit. Hopefully it doesn't do the hating. That is another sword unit. Let's do that is a bow. I want a different melee weapon. What are you? You're an axe, I guess that works. So we're going to save you, yes. Then we're going to merge. Highly doubt you guys can see it, but trust me. And this. And then we are going to do the renaming. We're going to call it test thing. Save, yes. Okay. So then we're going to go to Dale again, because we're done with the converter. It is of no use to us anymore. So then we should see our horrible creation here. I will proceed to close this and this, and then open that. There we go. Now you can see what I see. So here we have, I just merged these two files with the converter, renamed it of course, and here we are. Now let's say we want this to be a mixed unit thing. First thing, we don't want new bodies, so we're going to delete, 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 delete. That was just a good idea. There we go. Now we have everything else along with the X. So let's say we want this unit to have variants of swords and axes. So we would merge them, and then we want to, of course, have the weapons fit accordingly in terms of proportion. So we're going to deselect everything, and we're going to select an axe. We're going to go to model. We're going to move it, have everything situated accordingly. We're going to move it out, and we are going to scale. We're going to change it and make it smaller. How does that look? That looks slightly strange, but fine. I will, I think, do this as well. Scale. We're going to change that back to 1, and we're going to edit this to, let's say, 5. Yeah, that works. A lot of this stuff is eyeballing, so good. So there we have our X. Select the X. We're going to select it again. We're going to move it back because it is now shorter. We're going to want to move it to fit the hand. There we go. We have an axe as a weapon variant. Something that a lot of modelers don't know. I believe a lot of them don't know. I recently discovered it by accident. Well, not recently, it was like last year. But I'm sure some modelers would like to know how to do this, and that is weapon upgrades. So we're going to go open one of these. So we're going to deselect the weapons, and we're going to select a sword. Preferably one that is this one, because it's already away. So we're going to Control D, which duplicates. We're going to select everything else, hide it, unhide our duplicate sword and the original sword. So then we are going to select our duplicate, and we're going to move it. This will make some things easier. The depending on who you ask. So we're gonna go down. We are going to select this one, this, and we are going to pull my favorite thing, which is just shenanigans. So we're going to scale. We are going to upscale this to be wider. We are then going to make this one, make it little, give it a little bit of a taper. There we go. We are going to select the blade. There we go. We are going to then change this to 1, change this again to broaden it. It's going to be a slight difference, I assure you, but it will do something, I think. And we are going to broaden this a little. Scale. That is a chunky sword. And we're going to do this. We're going to extend it. That is the wrong thing. And we're going to then select that and give it more of a point. There we go. Now it is a slightly beefier looking sword, I guess. Actually, let us do this. We're going to slightly scale it back. So we're going to give it a 9. A little more. Good enough. There we go. Now that is a new variant, but we will select it. Now this is considered a primary active 0 sword, and this also says sword its name, and we are going to, instead of have it as 0, we will have it as 1. I believe that is how it's done. Then again, I haven't done it in a while, so there we go. Now this should, in theory, when you click the weapon upgrade, or you upgrade the weapon for a unit, it will have this new sword. There are weapon upgrades in the game. A good example would be the what's the unit called? It's the early spearmen for Dol Amroth. They get a weapon upgrade for their spear, and they visually change. So that's how I actually learned how it's done. Actually, I learned it through when I was editing the Umbar units. So yeah. So then we're going to unhide everything, which is Control-Shift-Hide or H, and we are going to realign things. Basically, this is the idea of unit. Oh god, where am I? There we go. Unit model editing. In terms of just the model, textures we will touch in a minute, I believe. I would edit this model texture placement a little more, but it's not going to show how to do that on OBS for some reason, so we're going to have to deal with it. So let's say that's all we wanted to do, and usually if you added a custom weapon, you would have to add it to its respective bone. So a good example would be where is right hand all these weapons are in right hand. You will select them first, go to select draw vertex weights, select right hand with that selected weapon, and assign. You will click assign here, and that should make it red, meaning the weapon is now assigned. Save that and you should be fine. So that is essentially the modeling aspect. Make sure you have copies of copies, because something could go wrong and you may not be able to fix it. Like everything in these tutorials, you want copies of everything you do so nothing breaks, and it is irreversible. So yeah, so we're gonna go into the program I use for editing textures, which is Krita. So we're gonna open a texture file. Ignore all this. Yes, I draw a lot. Ignore it. So we're gonna open this one. This is the one we're using. So we're gonna open it, preferably make a new thing, and let's say we want this lamellar back to match this lamellar front. So we will do the shenanigans I always do, which is proceed to copy paste everything. Oh god, sorry. So we're gonna select all of this. We are going to make sure we are on the same layer, and copy paste. There we go. I will do this, delete that. Now if you want to get very fancy and do things properly, I would usually suggest do that. I would usually suggest people use a tablet when working with textures, because you have a lot more control over the cursor and how hard and soft you want to make certain things. I am using a mouse and I don't want to touch my Wacom right now, even though it's right next to me. So we're going to do this instead. We're going to be lazy, like a good human. Yeah, save. So essential placement. I'm going to paste, 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 because I am a horrible human being and I'm too lazy to do. God. And you are here. Come here. Okay. I'm going to zoom out a little, and we're going to maneuver all this stuff here, because I'm lazy. So a lot of things. Oh god, where am I? So when it comes to do what I tell you to do, a lot of the texture stuff I would always recommend kind of having an idea or sketching out what you would usually want from the model, because that will make things easier, since it will don't do that, since it's going to make creating the texture a lot easier. So I always recommend essentially sketching it out on a piece of paper. Go to merge below again, and we are going to move this properly to place. And we are then going to copy, paste. If you guys are wondering, I do a lot of copy pasting for textures and everything, because that is the modder's toolkit. you will copy paste a whole bunch of things and you will have to get used to it. Slide a line. Let's make that line properly. And we're going to merge layer below. There we go. That is essentially our thing. I would touch this up, but I don't want to ruin it right now. Just goes where am I now? So we are going to hide this for now, and we are going to select a, where is it? There we are. Unit, and that unit. We're going to select this thing. We're going to select the area we want to cut out for our cuirass. And just as a side note, I know this video is very, very late. It was a very busy week for me. And to be honest, I really just wanted to make a video. All last week, that didn't work. So we're gonna have to do that separately. Okay. Copy, paste. We will unselect it. And now you have that, essentially. You can do the shading and stuff, make it look a little nicer later. But for now, we're going to touch this thing again. And same as the first time, we're going to essentially trace out where this lamellar would be. Copy paste, select this, do that, Control A, and there we go. Copy, paste. Now we have all that situated. Now it matches the front breastplate. Actually, let's do this. Opacity 35, please. And I'm curious, actually, let's merge below, merge below. How is this gonna look? Yeah, not too bad. So I am going to roughly shade this with a mouse, which is harder than it looks. Sorry, it is very early for me. I can't think very well. And early as in it is like 10 right now. Yes, 10 is early for me. Shut up. I wake up at 6 most of the time. Yeah, that works. So, save, yes. So, that's essentially texturing. So we're going to also do another thing, which is normalizing, but this time we're in Krita, so that's slightly different. So we're going to save this as a different thing so we don't do our messing up. That was English, yes. You can tell it's too early for me. We'll call it norm, like you do. So then we're gonna go into wherever the things are, because I don't do it a whole lot. Where map normalize, yes, that is not it. Control Z, tools, filters, actually. Adjust. Height to normal maps. yeah, this is the one. So we're going to want to do this first, and we're going to save. Yes, save, please. Then we're going to go to here. That is not. What the? Okay, let's just do this. Flatten image. Do the flattening. There we go. Now it is save. Tool. I mean, not tool. Here we go. There we go. So we're going to oh Jesus Christ. As you can tell, I don't use it very often in this program. Let's go back to this. Actually, that is horrible. Oh God. What's default? Not do that. So we're gonna. That is a little rough. A lot of the time, it's a lot of guesswork. Don't do that actually. So yeah, that's kind of the idea of what a file is. It does a lot of more detail. It's kind of height stuff, but also deals with some of the shading. And I think that is for now. So that's kind of how you do that. So I'm going to open Notepad++ again, and we're gonna pretend we converted those textures back into, well, I'm having a hard time doing that, back into texture format, which is called Creative Assembly Textures. Let's say we put them back into that format. We would essentially type this entire, let us go here. That is actually a stupid idea. Do not do that. And here, Dale. I need to make sure it's the right, it's lowercase. That's fine. Dale / textures / whatever the file is. For some reason I'm having a hard time remembering anything. This is it Barding? Bardian. Yeah, Bardian _ upgrade. And we will check how many words it has. It has a total of 52, so we will do the 52. That sounds ever so slightly wrong, but who cares? Copy that. Do this. Then we will do that. Norm. That is not how you spell norm. There we go. Now it is 57. and there we go, 57. And you would choose some thing sprite for it. It doesn't really matter in all honesty, unless you're a neat freak like some people. I would touch the attachments, but it's the same deal really. You just have to make sure you don't get rid of this 0. And that's kind of really it, in all honesty. If you guys want like super in-depth videos, like in terms of modeling and stuff, like going further in depth, like teaching you how to make certain things from nothing, like new weapons and new helmets, maybe a new shield, tell me in the comments below. This is like, these tutorial videos are essentially bare bones, what most people want to kind of know. And also in the last video, which was the Ardenarium campaign, I mentioned I was using the mods, some mods by Cedric, series of numbers, of course. Really lovely sub mod. I would highly recommend people use it for their campaigns. Very lovely. And of course I will leave links to the programs that I use, of course, except for File Explorer, which is a thing in everyone's PC. So yeah, I will see you guys in the next video.